good to be with you tonight. I'm here at my brother's house amidst colorful walls and beautiful folk art featuring animals. It's a wonderful reminder of just creation and God's glory. The scripture and the baptismal promise for this week left me with lots to think about. And I came down to three questions. And so, what I want to do in our time is share the questions with you, encourage you to write them down, and don't try to think of them with your head, but put them aside, sit with them, and listen to where the Spirit takes you with these questions because they are powerful things. I find when I just sit and wait, the Spirit comes. And so here's the first question. What is the good news that I am hearing right now in my life? What is the good news that I am hearing right now in my life? As I sat with this question, I realized I have a Zechariah and an Elizabeth in my life right now. And unlike Mary, where they were family, mine are Good Shepherd family. And we can't run to greet each other and hug at the door because it's COVID. My Zechariah also is not mute. If you remember the story of Zechariah, he is struck mute when he doesn't believe God the first time until John is born. But my Zechariah sends me good news in voice messages. And often they begin with things like, well, Jane, God has given us another beautiful day. And they go on to proclaim the glory of what we are given, our food, care for our family, the animals that are around us. And they inevitably move to a reminder to both him and me that God will take care of us. We can count on God no matter what. And my Elizabeth, our good news is not about pregnancy. Her good news comes in texts, and it often includes something like, I just have to tell you about a God moment I had today. And then she tells me about a struggle in her life that she's facing. And in the midst of that struggle, she turns to her daily devotion, and there is a phrase, a line, something from scripture that is as if God were speaking to her. Or she tells me about meeting a friend in the prairie. And those of you who know the prairie, it's like a big labyrinth down there. And she remembers meeting this person that she really needed to see, and both of the women feeling like this was a God moment for each of them, that they happened to be amongst all that tall grass in the prairie in the same time. As I thought about what my Elizabeth and Zechariah have meant to me, it means that good news is coming to my life in the midst of COVID, in the midst of my struggles, because I share with them as they share with me. And we keep proclaiming God's presence, God's life among us. It has been one of the most powerful experiences for me about COVID. So I encourage you first to sit with that question, what am I noticing? And then second, what do I hear in the baptismal promises? These are powerful things, and this one that talks about sharing the good news, part of what I've noticed is that we can only share the good news when we ourselves are filled with the good news. And so let your life soak up all the good news that comes, that you are loved, you are blessed, you are cared for. The world trying to rename you does not have any power. God's truth is there. And once you let that fill up your heart, there's nothing to do but let that out and share that in word, in deed. And if I know anything at this point in my life, it's that real joy comes in that moment where the love coming in has to go out. And so that's the thing that I have listened to this week from the baptismal promises. I don't know what you will hear, but I will promise you that if you listen, the Spirit will bring you something. And so the last question to sit with for all of us is, what's the good news that each of us is called to share, and who in our world needs it right now? So let's each of us let the Spirit speak to us this week, and let's take just a moment for silent prayer to ask the God to open our heart and our soul that we can hear.